hope you're all doing well. I'm back with another video here, another technique lesson. I'm going to zoom in on the fretboard. I'm going to show you some chord voicings with the 5-7, the dominant chord of any major key. And I'm going to show you some voicings that you may not be familiar with. A lot of the times when we think about the dominant 7 chord, we always go to this kind of, you know, E7 looking shape. But there are some really cool voicings up in the higher register that I want to show you that you probably have never seen before. So let's zoom in and get right down into it. Alright guys, so some of the coolest chord shapes that I think that are often overlooked are these ones that are played in the higher registers. A lot of the times when we're thinking of like a blues shuffle or a blue jam, you know, we're kind of doing these, you know, these lower chords. And we're never thinking about how to complement each other if we have another player that we're playing with. So a lot of the chord shapes that I'm going to be showing today are kind of based off doing these higher register chords. So these are all movable shapes, so once you learn the master shape you can move them in any single position in any single key that's applicable. But we're going to do this in A because that was what I was playing in the beginning. I was playing it in the key of A. So this first chord that I like, it's actually in first inversion. So if you don't know what an inversion is basically if you have a chord, you're recircling the notes in a pattern where the lowest note is not the bass note now. So that's basically what an inversion is. So in the case of a A dominant 7 chord, we have the notes A, C sharp, E, and G natural. If we play that with the A and the bass, like in this instance this chord, that's considered root position. If we mix up those notes and we put a different chord in, or a different note, a chord tone in the bass, that's what's called an inversion. So this chord here is in first inversion, so the C sharp is in the bass. And the way that we're going to track this chord and how you can, you know, always find it on in different keys is we're always thinking about finding the root on the B string. So we're going to go all the way up to the 10th fret of the B string. That's going to be our A note, so that's going to be our root. And the fingering is going to be the 11th fret of the D with our second finger, the 12th fret of the G with our third finger, the 10th fret of the B with our first finger, and our pinky is going to come over and grab the 12th on the high E. So those notes in order would be C sharp, G, A, and E. So that's our A7 chord. Super, super cool chord. I use this a lot if, like I said, playing with another band. It's always really cool to do that half slide down too. That's like one of my most favorite voicings of a dominant 7 chord. And again, you can move this anywhere. Just find your root on the B string. So let's say we want to make a, an E dominant 7. So the 5 in the key of A. We would just figure out where we can find an E note on the B string. It would be on the 5th fret of the B string. And we'd plug in that same exact fingering. Now here's an E7. Super, super cool voicing, love that. Now another way to play a non-typical traditional 5-7 chord is by doing this bar shape, and this is movable too. So if we're continuing to keep this in A, if I go all the way over and I make an A major chord with a 1-finger bar, and remember an A major chord looks like this typically, we just replace those fingers with just doing a 1-finger bar like such. We take our second finger and grab the high E of the G, or the high E on the 3rd fret, which is our G note. That's another version of how to play an A7. You know your A7 like this, and now you can play it like this. So basically I'm barring on the 2nd fret of the D, G, and B, and then my second finger is going to grab the high E. How we figure out where this chord is based on the root on the 3rd string. So here I have an A note. So here's my A7. Let's say I want to make an E7. Well, I need to find an E note on the G string. So here's an E note right here. So always think about finding the root on the adjacent strings, and that'll figure out where your chord is going to be. So we have this A7, this A7. Super cool, right? Right? Now, if we're thinking about talking about those inversions again, the lowest note in this bass is the E note. So that would what we call second inversion. Now, there's another cool shape. You're gonna get all kinds of cool shapes today. I really like this version of how to play an A7. So we're thinking about plugging this in based off of this A shape right here, this E shape up here. But really what I'm doing is I'm grabbing like an E major chord and I'm moving it all the way up here to the 6th fret. So I have my second finger on the 7th fret of the A, the third finger on the 7th fret of the D, and the first finger on the 6th fret of the G. And then my pinky is going to grab the 6th, which is going to be on the 8th fret of the high E. And I'm only playing the middle string, so 5 through 2. So it's just like a regular E major chord shape all the way up here. Lowest note in this case is also this E, just based down here. So this voicing's the exact same voicing. Hear how they sound the exact same? One thing that is really cool about the guitar is all the notes repeat over and over again. So what you play in one spot can be transposed to another area of the neck and play the same exact thing. So we have this chord here. Same exact voicing. We have this one that we did earlier, right? Now another voicing that you can do. And I'm always thinking about how I can play the higher registered notes, because a lot of the times, again, if you're playing with a band and you have a guitar player chugging on down here, you want to not be in the same register. You want to give a little bit of sonic room, right? So you want to spread out the sonic noise. So another chord that I play is kind of, again, based off this main A7 shape. And what I'm doing is I'm doing a bar on the 5th fret across strings 4 through 1. And then my second finger is going to come over and grab the 6th fret of the G string. So there's another way to play A7. I'm just leaving out this low bass note. So we have this shape, this shape, this shape, and this shape. And these are all different types of inversions too. And for this shape here, how I'm thinking about plugging in the root is really on the high E string. That's where our root is. So think about where, if I want to move this, if I want to use this shape, and think about how it's also in context of this shape. So if I want to make a D7, right here. So you find the root, find the root. What's super cool about these is you can use these all intermittently with one another too. So whenever you're playing through like a blues progression, for example, you can, substitute these in whenever you want. So let's say, you have the typical chord here. Well, instead of playing that, I'm gonna play, this one down here. Or this one up here. Now that shape is just completely an octave up. Tons of different ways to play the same notes over and over again. Now I'm going to leave you with this other shape. This is a really cool shape too. Kind of how we were playing this, now we're going to substitute our fingers. So we're going to do like a little D chord shape up here on the 5th fret. So my first finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the D, third finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the G, second finger is going to be on the 5th fret of the B. Why I like this shape opposed to this is now I can do this half step slide. So you can see how all these kind of things fit in together with one another, and it's all a really cool concept when you're trying to play with other musicians, and again, you're trying to give each other some sonic space, so that way when you are jamming out with other people, you're not touching on anybody's domain, for example. Like sometimes, like if you're playing with a bass player, to play this note is right in their register, they're gonna get kind of annoyed if you're doing something like, because that's their note, right? That's in their sonic territory, and they'll say, do you want to play the bass? Do you want to play the bass? And you're like, no, I want to play the guitar, right? So you want to stay out of each other's room, and you always want to try to listen to what's going on. So just to recap again, this is all kind of dealing with like the blues. We have this shape up here with the root on the B string. We have this shape down here with the roots on the G string. We have this shape where the root's on the high E, which also can be substituted out for this little D chord shape. Then we have this shape, which is like that E major chord. You know what's really interesting about this is the root on this chord is actually in the D string on the 7th fret. So let me loop up a jam again, and I'll go through these chords and then do with what you will with them. Alright guys, that was the video. I appreciate you sticking around. I hope you enjoyed it and you got something out of it. I really like doing these technique lessons. It's really nice to kind of step away from doing the song lessons for a moment. Not that I don't enjoy those, and I got a lot more of those coming. But let me know down in the comment section what kind of technique lesson you want to see next. And I'll see you in the next video.